Welcome to Queen Deluxe. Let's do some vintage sewing. Hello my lovelies. This week on Queen Deluxe we're going to put together a 1940s slip from a pattern that I have right here. It's a Hollywood pattern. Those are a little bit more rare than like a Butterick or Vogue or whatever, one of the regular brands. They are based on usually garments that worn in movies, and there was sort of a synergy happening from the big studios to selling patterns to regular folks, trying to sell that glamour to us. Let's get started. This glamorous nightgown is from around 1945. It is a wrap slip that ties in the back. I'm going to make this slip out of a fabric that I had in my stash. It's a crepe-back satin left over from a wedding gown. Crepe-back satin is a heavier weave than, say, a charmeuse, which is a lightweight satin. This is silk. It has that crepe-back, which is matte on the back and shiny satin on the face. I have sort of a random amount of silk that's left over. I have some pieces, a long section that had some pieces of the wedding gown cut out of it. So I'm trying to like puzzle piece together how I'm going to cut out this entire slip. I do not have enough for the long version, so I'm going to be doing a short version. Here I'm laying out the bodice pieces. This triangular one is the front, and this other weird long one is for the back. It has an overlapped section in the back with the long part is the strap, and this little short side closest to the camera is the side seam. You may be wondering and looking at this pattern saying, hey, there's no printed information on this pattern. How are you telling what's going on? So in this moment in time, in this Hollywood pattern, the pattern was punched with little symbols. 2 large holes means the straight of grain, and so that's when I can tell where to place the fabric. Other little V's and diamonds and stuff mean different things, and here is the key for that. So I'm going to be doing some tailor tacks on this silk. It's the best way to mark. So the tailor tack, there's this thread, it's a little bit fuzzy. Go all the way over there and back up. And I'm going to leave a loop here. And I got 4 of these guys, so I'm going to pull them apart. And hopefully we'll have enough in the loop here. And because it's a little fuzzy, they should stick. At least long enough for you to know where the mark is. And you can take it back out. So I'm going to mark all my pieces and then we'll start sewing. Here we go, starting to sew. This nightgown has a million miles of roll hem, so we're going to start doing those first before really we start putting any pieces together. So the backs, the fronts, the front edge of the skirt, I think, oh, the bows, that's it. So you start out with a 1/4 inch seam allowance by putting a stay stitch by machine, and then you cut away an 1/8 of an inch of that. And then you're prepped to start doing the roll hem. I have the top of my roll hem pinned to my pants to give it a little tension, and then I'm taking about 2 threads of the outer fabric and then I go in right next to my stay stitch. Decided there is a buttonhole on the like side front sort of top where the bow lands. put a picture. So they wanted you to do like a hand done buttonhole, and let's just say I'm not good at those. So I thought, hey, I could do a bound buttonhole pretty easily, and that might be a fun tutorial for you guys. I know you guys are thinking bound buttonhole in charmeuse is easier than a hand done buttonhole, and I'm gonna say, for me, yes. I feel like I would have to do 100 hand done buttonholes before I was able to be happy with how that turned out. And since it is on the front and it's easily seen in the garment, I just thought this would look better. So that was my decision on that. So these are my front pieces. This is the top corner. It's already been roll hemmed here. I have a basting line of where my buttonhole is going. I have basted on the other side the facing for that buttonhole. So it's all out of the way and ready to go. And I have put a little bit of interfacing that I have cut on with some pinking shears, so it will not ravel, and the edges will be a little bit buffed out when it's pressed. So we don't get like a hard line when it's pressed. Okay, so I'm gonna start midway, 1/16 of an inch away. I'm gonna tighten up my stitch length here. Okay. Not too far. In. Back up. Sorry, not a lot of talking you through that. It's just such precise sewing to concentrate. Okay, this is the part where you've got to be brave. Alright. Center. Up to, not through on that corner. To, not through. And then there's some stay stitching and things after pressing, and I can go over that in a sec. Okay, so here is my buttonhole, like pressed, and everything's flipped. So I'm going to flip this top part back, and there is a little triangle that I clipped the corner. We're gonna stitch that down, and it's gonna catch everything across the top here. I wanna get as close as I can, but not too close. So I'm sewing that triangle. Stitch. And stitch like in the ditch right here. Hold these like pieces back. Alright, I have the backs laid out with the left back over the right back. I've got that pinned. This is our center line, these tacks here. I'm gonna stay stitch these suckers together, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so the next step is I have got the dart pin. I pressed the seam allowance under on the skirt, and now I'm going to do a very close top stitch, attaching it to the bodice. Alright, so I have the front waistband bit. I have done a little stay stitch across the top, folded that under with the iron. I'm going to pin it on to this center top section. Started this one. So this is the side seam, and this is across the bust here. So all of this gets gathered in. There's going to be a flat section here where the notches are matching up. I'm going to go ahead and do that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull back bobbin thread of the gathers. Alright, so now I have the skirt section pinned on. There's two sections of gather side fronts, left and right. And then it's all pinned with gathers controlled between notches, and I have it all pin based down, and I'm gonna top stitch in place. Finally, time to sew the side seams together. I sew them at 1/2 inch. I pink them and then press them open. And I have sewn most of the facings parts of the waistbands on last night in front of the TV. They just had you bag this section out by machine and the rest of it's hand sewn. So I've not pressed this yet, and I wanted to show you guys how to press this. It's not a hard press because we have like gathers and this lightweight silk. We want it to look like it's just sort of floating in place. So I'm going to start with a little bit of steam and scooch these edges out, and then end up with a little bit more of a harder press. But over here where these gathers are, I'm just gonna coax them with the steam and the iron so they don't get smushed and like hard pressed down. Time for bows and straps. The bows are just simple rectangles sewn together and hemmed at the top. We gather those down and stitch them to the top of the triangle right above the buttonhole. The straps are gathered in 2 places. The stitches are at the end and about 3 inches above. They are inserted into the buttonhole and then twisted so that we have the satin face both on the strap part and the part that's like going around the top of the bow, like the bow knot. They are attached back behind there with a simple hand stitch. And then the strap is then again hand stitched up above, like so. Thanks for sewing with me this week. Hope you had fun. I know I did. If you did, click all the links and the buttons and share with a friend. Thanks for watching.